All right, so this chapter records the decline of Israel under Jehoahaz and Jehoash, but also God's mercy in response to prayer. Okay, it ends with Elisha's final prophecy and a surprising miracle after his death. Okay, the first part of this chapter covers Jehoahaz, king of Israel. Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, becomes king of Israel and reigns 17 years. He does evil, continuing in Jeroboam's sin of golden calves. God allows Hazael, king of Aram, to oppress Israel. Jehoahaz seeks the Lord, and God provides a deliverer, not named here, okay? Still, Israel remains steep in sin, okay? So his army is reduced to only 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers, a shadow of former strength. Jehoahaz dies, and his son Joash becomes king, okay? So sin awakens nations, but sin weakens nations, but God shows mercy when his people cried out. So the second part of the chapter covers Joash, king of Israel. Jehoash reigns 16 years in Samaria. He continues in Jeroboam's sins. He warns against Amaziah, king of Judah. He dies, and Jeroboam II succeeds him. Israel's kings persist in idolatry, but God's purposes continue, okay? So the third part of the chapter covers Elisha's final prophecy. Elisha falls sick with the illness that will lead to his death. King Jehoash weeps over him. My father, the chariots and the horsemen of Israel. The same cry Elisha once made for Elijah. Elisha tells him to take a bow and arrows. He places his hand on the king's hands, symbolizing God's power. He tells him to shoot an arrow eastward, symbolizing victory over Aram, okay? So then he tells him to strike the ground with arrows. Jehoash strikes 3 times and stops. Elisha is angry. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have completely destroyed Aram. Now you defeat them only 3 times. Limited faith and effort bring limited results. The fourth part of this chapter covers Elisha's death and posthumous miracle. Elisha dies and is buried. Moabite raiders invade every spring. Some Israelites, burying a man, hastily throw his body into Elisha's tomb. When the body touches Elisha's bones, the man revives and stands up. Even in death, God's power works through his prophet, a sign of resurrection hope. Okay? The fifth part of the chapter covers battles against Aram. Hazael, king of Aram, oppresses Israel, but God is gracious because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hazael dies, and his son Ben-Hadad succeeds him. Jehoash defeats Ben-Hadad 3 times, just as Elisha prophesies. God's covenant faithfulness preserves Israel despite its repeated sins. What are the key lessons from the 2 Kings chapter 13? The first one is, God hears even flawed prayers. Jehoahaz cried out, and God showed mercy despite Israel's idolatry. Second, faith determines the measure of victory. Jehoash's half-hearted arrow strikes limited the extent of triumph. Yeah. So third lesson, God's power is greater than death. Elisha's bones brought a dead man back to life, foreshadowing resurrection in Christ, okay? The final lesson is God's covenant mercy endures. Despite Israel's rebellion, he remembered his promises to the patriarchs, okay? So, in summary, Jehoahaz and Jehoash reigned in Israel, continuing in sin, but experienced God's mercy. Elisha gives his final prophecy, rebuking Jehoash's lack of zeal, okay, then dies. And even after death, God works through Elisha's bones to raise a man. Jehoash defeats Aram 3 times, fulfilling Elisha's word, okay?